Anyway, from one Jersey guy to the next, actually, because you're a Jersey guy now. Mike Trout. I want to bring up him a little bit. You know him, the superstar, the guy that everybody wants to be. He's a beast. You talk about in your article about him. He needs to talk to Moreno now. He needs to get some answers because you don't want his second half of his career to be, just like the first. They don't really make the playoffs. They don't do anything. I think you bring up a great point. But do you see him doing that, knowing him, how quiet he is? Well, not say quiet, but he's not really big in that kind of controversy and that stuff.
Right. And the point of this, what I wrote today, was basically to say, hey, he doesn't want to be traded. He is not asking for a trade, and people cannot expect him to be something he's not. You can't expect him to be James Harden asking for a trade every 5 minutes. It's not him. He is someone who was drafted by the Angels, signed 2 big contracts with the Angels, wants to stay with the Angels. So the premise was, okay, if that's the case, and he has every right to feel that way, then what's next? And what's next should be a hard conversation with Arte Moreno. Now, he said this most recently, earlier this week, to reporters, that he does speak with Arte Moreno and the team president, John Carpino, at the end of every season. That's fine, and I'm sure those conversations might be even a little bit more pointed than we imagine. But at this point, he needs to ask questions such as, what is our plan? What is our direction? What the heck are we doing? Because Arte Moreno as an owner is unpredictable, I would even say erratic, and their direction seems to shift year to year according to his whims. So that's what I suggested. Now, I saw a lot of the comments on the article and people saying, well, Mike Trout doesn't want out because he's not a winner. He's not competitive. This actually ticks me off when I hear it, because how do you think you get to be Mike Trout? Just floating along through life saying, hey, I got great talent, I'll just play? No, you're a great competitor. How do any of you guys, Eric, Todd, AJ, anybody else, how do you make the major leagues? Because you're tough-minded and you're competitive. So that argument, I don't buy. And while I would like to see Trout go to a contender, if that's what he wants to do, stay in Anaheim, then that is his absolute right to do that. And there actually are some things to admire about that. The loyalty, the desire to see it through. So don't tell me he's not competitive, he's not a winner, but at the same time, he cannot be passive about this anymore. I would say he needs to go to those guys, Moreno and Carpino, and say, guys, it's time. And if you don't start running this franchise in a coherent fashion, remember, I do have the right to go public. And everyone has a patience level. I would imagine Mike Trout has one too.
Good, Ken. It's like you've been listening to me rant on the show for the last couple of weeks. But now, the biggest news I got out of that was you read the comments in your articles. I cannot wait to get burner accounts and just make up all kinds of bullshit to write in the comment section.
Hey, AJ, anything you might say, and you're creative and you're a smart guy, I don't even know if you can match what I get on a daily basis.
AJ wouldn't actually hurt your feelings, Ken. AJ just prods you a little bit. So if you see somebody a little jab here and there, you're like, oh, flag it, burner account.
Well, there are little jabs. There are wheelhouse punches that come pretty much all the time. It's just the nature of it.
Mm-hmm. So you said in your article, you said Trout, quote, your exact quote was, he needs to adopt Trout's forceful approach. Now, we've never seen much emotion out of Mike until just the other day when he was almost brought to tears. Do you feel like now as an older player, there might be more of a, as you said, forceful approach that Mike could bring up?
I don't know, honestly, Eric. And that emotion the other day was really interesting to me because this was not a spontaneous news conference at his locker. It was sort of planned in the sense that Mike is going to speak today. Here's the time. Reporters, you come and you talk to him then. So it's not as if they caught him by surprise. He knew he was going to talk. I think the emotion, if I had to guess, and I'm not inside Mike Trout's head, comes from the fact that he is so frustrated that he didn't get back really this year after the hamate fracture. And that it's been 3 years now of a lot of injuries. He's played in fewer than 50% of the Angels games the past 3 seasons, only 41 games in the second half the past 3 years combined. He's frustrated. That bothers him, of course. That's part of it. The fact that he has to answer these questions every year because the team is underachieving, that's part of it. But that emotion surprised me a little bit simply because it came at a time when you would think he would have actually been kind of programmed, right? He's ready for this news conference. It's his end of the year thing. He does it every year. But no, that frustration came through. And this idea that he doesn't care, he doesn't want to play for the Yankees, so he doesn't care. Just stop, folks. No.
Yeah, the Trout hating is insane.
It's just always people are like, oh, he's been hurt for the last few years, so he's not worth the money, and he doesn't care. That's why he's staying there. Bullshit, dude. That dude cares a lot.
He's also still got career left.
100%.
Like, people saying he's toast. That is pushing it. You're going to eat your words.
But the problem is, again, we talked about this the other day. Where can you send him? Because it's a very limited amount of teams, and Arte Moreno, he's not going to want to eat a lot of the contract. So if he does do it, it's so we can spend a whole offseason on this whole between him and Shohei.
There's no question, guys. There's no question that his value is not what it was because of the injuries and because of the concern that this is not going to get better. Players don't usually get more healthy after incurring a few years of injury-plagued years. So I can see the concern there, and we all, I would say, probably don't see Mike Trout quite the same way because we know he's been hurt, and as you get older, you're more injury prone or susceptible, I should say, and that is going to affect him. He's owed 7 years, almost $250 million. It's a lot of money for a guy who doesn't play the full season. At the same time, if he does get healthy, and this injury this year was something of a freak thing, I would say, when you foul a ball off and you fracture your wrist, I don't know that is any indictment on your conditioning. I don't think it is, actually. So you hope he gets healthy. You hope he stays healthy. I'm sure he wants to stay healthy and will do everything in his power to stay healthy. But the reality is he has had several years now where he has not been fully healthy.